everybody. How's it going today? I am here with my friend Angus.
What's up?
And we're going to talk about some cool stuff like records that defined us. But first of all, thanks for everybody being here, of course. Right now we got a few things going on. One, Angus has a new course set. We got the link below. It is 30 surefire rock licks. You can check that out. You can save 25% on that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to talk about records that kind of, made our career. Made our career. What really influenced us the most as guitar players, whether they're guitar records or not. I got some stuff that are not. And put yours down below as well, so we can all kind of share. It'd be kind of cool to see what you guys are, what you're into. All right, so are the levels good? I was kind of messing around with them. Is it too hot? Let me know. You'll let me know in the chat. All right, so how about you go first?
Okay. I started making a list.
Like, what's an early one? Like when you first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go early.
Okay,
I'm gonna go early. This would be an album that we had in the house because my dad bought it because it received an awesome review in the New York Times. The New York Times says it's good. As far as my dad was concerned, it was good, and that would be Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles.
So did he? Do you remember? Had it just come out at that point? Were you that young, or did you?
No. He got it probably when it came out, but then it was there in the collection when I started picking through the collection. And they were mostly listening to classical music, so it was like all classical. My mom was a singer, classical singer, and so it was all classical. And then there were some Carpenters records and a couple Joan Baez records because my mom really liked Joan Baez's singing. And then there was Sgt. Pepper's and Revolver and Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet.
At your house, wow.
Yeah, and I
wouldn't have called that for your folks. Yeah. I knew his parents, so.
I love all those records. I think, I think I have a fondness for Revolver in a way. There's certain tunes off of Revolver that just stick with me.
I prefer Revolver as a go back to than Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, but Sgt. Pepper's like it was like the gatefold with like the Sgt. Pepper's like mustache and like there's a little mustache you could like it was like it was probably made for people dropping acid, but we thought it was for kids.
Yeah, exactly. So
and I love that record. I love both those records, but I just remember, when I'm 64 and like the trippiness of it, that there was some story going on that you weren't fully privy to, and everything was so singable. And it's
a pretty good record. Interesting you bring it up. That was on my list too, because I remember we're showing our age, but my father brought home a quadraphonic stereo system. So we had the 4 speakers, and besides like persuasive percussion, so you hear like the, and then over there would be the drums. was Sgt. Pepper as well.
Oh wow!
So he brought it home in the vinyl, and we had the stereo to put on. And I remember we danced around the house to it as kids. So that would be one of them for sure. The one I was going to say, we grew up next door, and my neighbor, like his job was he would like. One of his things that he would do when there would be like fires or like he would estate sales and stuff like that. So he used to have like his garage was full of stuff, and he had records, and he had this thing on. I was like, what is this? It's the greatest thing I've ever heard. It must have been, I don't know how. It was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Oh, neat.
So I got like a kind of, I don't remember what record it was. It had like, Big Girls Don't Cry on it and Rag Doll and all that stuff. The hits. So it must have been a greatest hits record. And then I got Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons greatest hits. So those had been out. I mean, we're talking in the 70s. So my first musical obsession was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. It's kind of funny. I think Frankie's still touring, apparently.
Yeah, not bad stuff to be into.
Yeah.
It's tuneful, the gift of melody.
Exactly. So I still know all those Frankie Valli tunes.
I don't have as much experience, but I mean it's all very tuneful and And I imagine the lyrics have all the charmingness.
They were that it's almost like I don't think he was really. It was kind of post-doo-wop, though, I think, when those songs... They were, like, a little later than, like, when that happened. Yeah, because he's still alive, you know what I mean? So, he's still touring. All right, so I'll do my next one. So then I guess the So it would be Sergeant Pepper. That would be the first rock one. But I would say my first, because I have an older brother, and my sister, I have an older sister, but her musical taste never kind of, I think it was the older brother thing. So the first one, so a lot of the stuff that I got from him, but was growing up in New York, and you started switching on FM radio, which was pretty good at that point in time.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be Queen, A Night at the Opera.
Oh.
That would be like the big... No. I digress. The Doors.
Oh, yeah.
The Doors' first record. Right. I remember Light My Fire and then Break On Through. And I got to say that there's no description in the thread. There's no description. BB's telling me there's no description, but all right. I love how this stuff goes. I thought I saved it. Well, I don't know. All right. Well, I'll fill it in later. Sorry. That Break On Through was the first big thing for me, and I think the Doors' first record. I listen to it all the time still. When's the last time you revisited the Doors' first record?
Yeah, like when JD asked me to learn some Doors tunes in order to play a gig with him in Old Bridge.
JD from Black Label Society. So we both know JD for years now.
Doors were huge on FM radio,
yeah.
Like when in New York area, definitely when we were younger, and that's all I knew about them. And then I didn't understand. I didn't meet anybody who really dug them that much. Mm-hmm. Probably JD would be the one guy.
Yeah. Oh, I totally did. And like I remember not that long. I mean, I do listen to that record. My wife and I were listening to it, and we're like, well, like every song on here is a hit, and every song is. I mean, you got Crystal Ship, you've got Break On Through, Lost Little Girl, Love Me Two Times, certainly Light My Fire, which is the one I skip over.
Right.
Yeah, when that I'm like, oop, I can't get off of that quickly enough. So
an escapable tune, though.
Oh, I know, it's true.
All right, let's see if we dig into the. And then go. It's kind of funny. It's like there's the records from before we started choosing our own music, right? And the stuff that was chosen for us. And I think if we talk about radio, the New York radio was. There was a lot of Doors and there was a lot of Bruce Springsteen, but I never owned a Doors record and I never owned a Springsteen record.
Wow.
So I'm not sure that I can, until, now that I stream everything. So I can't say that I could, they didn't come onto my list. In terms of what I didn't put on the list, but the first album I bought with my own money was Left Overture by Kansas.
Wow.
So Carry On Wayward Son and all that stuff, that's huge. And funnily enough, my friend Joe Denenzon is now the violin player.
Oh, wow.
In Kansas, and he was a student at National Guitar Workshop. He was a bass student.
Was he?
At National Guitar. Yeah.
So I'm adding in your course.
Oh, cool.
For somehow the description didn't get in there.
Shout out to my course. And shout out to Joe Denenzon for being awesome in Kansas. And they're still touring right now. Oh, and Jason Gianni did a couple gigs on drums with them.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Another old friend. So, but back to the ones that I mark as foundational for who I am. I'm gonna skip to the big one.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go to The Wall.
Man. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think if it was. I remember buying The Wall, and through my brother, the big one, because we're both Pink Floyd fanatics, was Animals. Actually, that was the one that I was listening to pretty straightforward, like the whole, pretty obsessively, and then The Wall came out. I remember it coming out. I remember the tickets went on sale. I don't know how old I was in '79, and it says to my mom, they're playing 5 shows I heard on the radio in like Long Island. She's like, well, if you can get tickets and if somebody can take you and I agree to it, then you can go. I'm like 8 or something, trying to sort this out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of course, yeah. So I don't know if that was nice or cruel at the same time. I'm not sure. But so yeah, Animals, but The Wall for sure, of course.
So I didn't have an older brother. I think like before, somewhere in there, like my best friend at the time had an older sister.
Okay.
And through through her, I had discovered like Changes One Bowie.
Okay.
That's like, that was my, I didn't have Bowie on this list, but I remember Changes One Bowie was massively influential. And at the time, the record that came out was Scary Monsters. And I had that. But, and that's not, I love that record, but that's not like the part of Bowie's catalog that like really resonates with me like the most. But anyway, that's a standard. But The Wall was like after Kansas Left Overture, there was The Wall came out. That's the album that brought me to Pink Floyd. And it's an album of amazing songs, amazing production, amazing guitar solos.
Yeah.
So melodic. It's like just one after the other. And yeah, and so in my head, Animals, while it came before, and Wish You Were Here, like those all came before, they're all kind of like variations on the Gilmour thing. But the Gilmour like definitive artistic statement is for me is the stuff in The Wall. I do love Animals and like all those things are like the gospel for me. But,
sure. Well, I mean, it's metal through The Wall.
Yeah,
like all of that. Yeah.
Oh, there's still stuff on the final cut.
The final cut's good. I'm just saying in terms of, I like the final cut a lot. I know I get, a lot of people like, I think it's undersold, but I think that's a great record.
Yeah.
Some great tunes on that. So
there's just so much when I hear myself back on a recording, and it's just like, oh man, I'm just doing it.
I know. All right, so so it was Animals, so then we'll do them back together. So I'm going to start getting into the ones that, obviously was Blizzard of Oz. Like,
it's on my list. Yeah.
That, and we have probably have a lot of double over. And I did this on a video I had done, but that was like the first time I started discovering like my own music that was separate from my brother's stuff. Like he was like Neil Young and all these kind of like more, not heavy stuff. And I liked Rush too, but when I first I'd heard some Sabbath, like, I knew I was aware of it, but it was Blizzard of Oz that I remember my friend put on a cassette for me. And then he had it backwards, like he recorded it backwards. So the first song I heard was Mr. Crowley. So I thought that was side one. So I thought that, I had the record in reverse because that was that guy. He were one of his friends. So you're like, how could you do that? That doesn't, like, I'm such a completist for this stuff. You know what I mean? I couldn't have done it in the wrong way. I'd had to re-record it. And that was one of those like earth-shattering moments for me that I was like, this is what I want to do. I had played guitar at that point, I think. It was just starting, but I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. Have you mentioned Deep Purple or Rainbow yet? Like, hold on, we just started. You can't meet a bigger Blackmore fan than this guy, so hold on, we'll get there.
I kind of loved how classical, because my folks were classical, so there's part of me like,
your mom's an opera singer.
Yeah, part of me was kind of like, see, there's like, classical, and that was all over the Ozzy record. Yeah, that was just, it was mind blowing.
Yeah,
it was really my thing. And if we're gonna go in there, and I don't know the timing, how this all went down for me, but I got Paranoid in Volume 4, were like the two Sabbath records that I was just fully in on. It's interesting now. Volume 4 was like probably the most influential. Like I've written songs that are very evocative of like that era of Sabbath. Tomorrow's Dream is the first solo I ever learned. I think it was in a songbook, and it's transcribed, like it's played there, but actually the guitar is tuned down a whole step.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which is super weird because everybody thinks of Volume 4 as being tuned to C sharp, but that one is tuned to D, or maybe they sped the tape up. Who knows? So I learned it all down there, but it's all there,
right? Which makes so much more sense, right?
So yeah, Volume 4. But now when I listen to them, like there's a clarity to Paranoid. It's easier to listen to Paranoid. Like you have to, if you go from listening to Paranoid to listening to Volume 4, like as soon as you put Volume 4 on, you're like,
Yeah.
Like it sounds like
The
it
production
recorded
is-
through a tennis shoe or something
Yeah.
like that. But then once you've been listening to it for like 20 minutes, you're like, this sounds killer, bro.
Yeah. Well, the songs are so undeniably good, that's that.
And the Ionis and all that stuff is on display. It's much more pyrotechnic lead playing or something. There's something epic about it.
Right. So I think we could both just say at that point too, then, Paranoid. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't everybody who listens to hard rock and metal, that's sort of
So
is it the best record?
It,
I mean, metal
still,
record or
still sounds great
to me, like, I don't know, what's kind of,
it's just,
I don't know anything that's much better than that.
we're all humbled in the face of Black Sabbath's Paranoid.
Yeah. Exactly.
And shout out to Ozzy and
Yep.
So
So people chime in, Technical Ecstasy, Master of Reality. Of course, all of it. Like, okay, look, it's all of them. I mean, all the Ozzy records pretty much. And the Dio ones, man. I love the Dio records.
you got to give it to Paranoid for having Iron Man and War Pigs on it.
Right.
I mean, come on. Right?
To me, right, that's the... Right, if somebody says, like, what's the optimal Black Sabbath record, it's that, to me.
Yeah.
And I love all of them. I mean, yeah. Sabotage, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Technical Ecstasy.
Yeah.
More of a Tony Iommi solo record.
Okay. We won't get into that. Okay, Guitar Grandpa, Aftermath, okay, Rubber Soul, Surrealistic Pillow, excuse me. Are You Experienced, Fresh Cream, Disraeli, Gears, Buffalo Springfield, all 3 albums, Quicksilver, Messenger Service. Can you tell I'm from San Francisco area? Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
That scene. A couple of those are a couple stuff that's evocative of that scene is on my list.
Yeah.
So I had growing up, I had the Jimi Hendrix double album Greatest Hits, but then I 5-finger discounted
What?
an original version of the Jimi Hendrix Are You Experienced, Electric Ladyland, and the other one. All 3. I got all 3 like original pressings from
Accessible to Love.
Accessible to Love. They're at my girlfriend's aunt and uncle's house, and now they're in my record collection. Sorry, they weren't listening to them.
Yeah.
I feel bad about that now, admitting it here. And then so Hendrix, I have to say the Greatest Hits album, I think it'd be hard for me to pinpoint of those 3 records which one I love the best, but that's so influential for me. Purple Haze, Spanish Castle Magic, Foxy Lady, everything amazing to me. And Live Cream Volume 2.
Yeah, Volume 2 is
the Cream album that really did it for me. I know a lot of people have Wheels of Fire or Disraeli Gears, but I had Live Cream Volume 2. And that was just the version of White Room on that. The drumming and the lead playing.
Yeah.
Everything is just
For me,
the book.
It was probably Disraeli Gears because that was the first one. But in retrospect, as a player, it's Fresh Cream for me. There's something about the playing. And the guitar sound on Fresh Cream, you got a Spoonful on that, and Sleepy Time Times. That guitar sound is just amazing. So yeah, man. So Randy on Guitar Grandpa, definitely for sure that stuff. So yeah, Victor Beebe saying John Mayall and John Mahalo and the Blues Breakers, the Beano record, of course. That's a big one.
And I love it now, but it wasn't
Right,
it wasn't part of the burn-in for me.
Yeah, that was a later one, but obviously there's different age groups. So let's. There's a bunch of people chiming in a little bit more. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh, Clearwater Creedence, of course, Clearwater Revival, for sure.
Missed it.
I got to that later. You know what I mean? Songs that I'd heard. And I love Creedence, but that was a little later. I remember hearing, I think it was like Born on a Bayou in his voice. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And I got super into Creedence that later. But one record that Sons of Sound, Jeff, I was playing drums more back then and guitar, and There and Back checked both boxes. Very inspirational and aspirational. Dregs of the Earth did that same year. Now, There and Back that started me on the Jeff Beck obsession. And that one I picked up myself I was my friend's record store, like the record store we used to go to all the time. You know, I knew the guy. And I don't know if it had just come out or not, but just like the big Jeff Beck and that stencil on There and Back, and I heard a lot about this guy, so I picked it up. And that was really it. You know, that was the beginning of my whole lifelong obsession with him. But the funny thing is, like, I didn't realize, I loved the music, but I didn't realize what he was doing. Like, I thought it was really cool, but I didn't fully grasp the technical mastery of what he was doing at the time, if that makes sense. Because it wasn't super chopsy, like, it wasn't
right
Yngwie or Randy Rhoads or any of the guys that I was into too. And then you go back, or when I started trying to figure some of that stuff out, I'm like, this is really hard. Like, like, what's he doing? Like, this is freaking crazy. Especially like the final pieces of the last cut on the record, that was a big one for me. And if you know some of my tunes, you can hear some of that stuff in there for sure. So Jeff, I agree with you. There and Back. Yep, for sure.
There's so much there's so much of the magic in these records that were there for us when we were younger, where in some cases, like, I've never figured out the playing. Because it's like, don't unlock the box. It remains magic for us. I'm trying to look down my list. So if we stay in because I have some records on here that are more like are more influential to me in terms of songwriting and lyrics and stuff like that.
Let's do one.
Let's see. There's two directions to go there. One would be very early on. I used to watch the Monkees on TV all the time, so I had like 3 or 4 of their records. Headquarters would be one that, and I still love some of the Mike Nesmith songs, and a lot of the songs are written by some of the best songwriters ever. And I love The Door into Summer, and like that stuff, Time, Daily, Nightly, all those songs. So those were big records for me. But if we go back onto the guitar side, Rainbow on Stage.
There we go.
That's my Blackmore. That's it for me on Blackmore, is the On Stage record. It's like, it's like 12-minute long versions of songs. It's like a proper
Dio.
Ronnie James Dio singing.
Cozy Powell
playing the drums, Jimmy Bain. Yeah. Tony Carey on keys, killing it. Yeah, completely killing it. Yeah. And just the phase shifter on the Strat and the way it's compressed, that sound that Blackmore had at that time, and the way it's so jammy, like Frampton or The Dead, or it was like a heavy metal, like a hard rock Grateful Dead show or something, and just jammed out.
I love that record. Cool. Actually, you're the one who turned me onto that record, oddly.
Oh, wow.
Like, I had a bunch of the other stuff, but I never really we've been friends for like 30 something years.
Sure.
Right. So I had like Long Live Rock and Roll, I had Rising, I had all the studio. I didn't have Rainbow on Stage for some bizarro reason. And you're like, dude, when we first met, you were like, gotta check it out. And ever since I was like, yeah, that's probably the one. It puts it all together in the live version. I'm just so great. So
so that's a huge record for me. I don't know if we get any other love for Rainbow on Stage, but come on.
Well, people are talking about Rainbow. Okay, so if we're talking it's very guitar, but the Cure Pornography was big for me. I'm a huge Cure fan, and that kind of started me into a bunch of those bands. I got I love a lot of Depeche Mode and all those kind of 80s new wave, but the Cure, that huge record, super dark, and it tied into the metal stuff. You know what I mean? I never got so much into I did a little bit of Bauhaus and stuff, but the Cure was to me is the best, as opposed like Sisters of Mercy. After a little while, that low voice kind of felt not real to me after a while. You know what I mean? Like an affectation that that was I mean, you could say the same of High Singers, but the Cure, Pornography, and then everything after that, all the way through the magical records of like Wish, I think was the last. I can't say last great record. At that point, they took a long break and I got into other things. But those records, Head on the Door, The Top, some really great stuff. What I love about them, and Robert Smith particularly, is that he could write the most perfect pop tune like Friday I'm in Love or like, In Between Days. And then he can write these 12-minute super dark mopey rock things that were great.
They were a band that had a lot of appeal to kind of very introverted nerds and a big pop crossover appeal.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this stuff, like these records are going to be from that period for us from we were 12 to 15.
Yeah.
That's what I call the burn in.
Yeah.
That's when everything gets locked in for you and there's nothing you can do about it.
No, nothing. No.
Nothing you can do about it after that point. So it's not all guitaristic.
It's like my love of Queensryche from that period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those first record, Warning,
the EP, Warning, Rage for Order,
and then Minecraft. I mean, that was kind of, and after that I was like, then I kind of, but those records, amazing.
Yeah, I remember saw them open for Maiden, Lady Wore Black.
I saw them on the first Warning tour in a stage the size of this room.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So
great.
good.
Yeah.
And I saw them on I didn't see them. I was meant to see them open for Metallica on the Mindcrime tour, and we were stuck in traffic in LA, and we didn't. Then I saw Metallica though. I saw.
Let me just jump on here. All right. So we got some other stuff. Michael Gilberto was Ventures live in Japan and the Beano record. So yeah. What about UFO with Schenker? Oh, hold on. Victor Beebe, Humble Pie Live. Yeah, that record is so great. I love that record.
Now that I would have come to later. I would have come to that much
I came
later.
to that much later.
That's like chapter 3. So that's after the burn-in. We have to we could put.
But I want to talk about records that are after the burn-in, like later too. Yeah, we're gonna get to that too. Jeff Motter, Highway to Hell made me fall in love with rock and roll. British Steel made me want to really play guitar. British Steel, huge record for me as well. Absolutely. Jeff Beck Wired, he did freaking Charles Mingus doing Goodbye Pork My Head, amazing. Yeah, I came to Beck, like obviously the big three of that era, the 70s, There Back, Wired, and Blow by Blow. There and Back was the first one I had. I think my brother might have had the other ones, but I never really picked up on it. And then I got all of them. But for me, that was the one that
set you up.
Set me up, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think that's the best record? I don't know. I don't know which one is. They all have their thing.
I had Misplaced Childhood by McErlain on my list.
Oh, wow.
Because, again, if we're talking about like the burn-in, like there was The Wall, and I had an interest in progressive music. I was big into Yes and stuff like that. But then McErlain Fish, their singer, his lyrics were much more of the tortured artist type than the more kind of, what do we call, obscure stuff that you got from Yes and Peter Gabriel and Genesis and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like the lyrics on McErlain records were definitely like a tortured person.
Yeah.
And because I love The Wall.
I needed that.
I needed more of that. I need more of that.
Right.
So I saw them live a couple of times. So that's from, and there's good guitar playing on those records, but it's kind of very David Gilmour-ish. But it's more about what those records were in terms of production and lyrics and songwriting and stuff like that. So I think in terms of what else happened, I mentioned Hendrix, the Cream record, everything.
I'll just jump on Hendrix for a second. Like, I didn't really get into Hendrix until after I got into Robin Trower.
Oh.
Somehow I got Bridges Eyes. Somehow I had heard it, and I heard Bridges Eyes. No, Day of the Eagle. I was like, well, this is the coolest thing ever. So I got really into Trower. And for me, Hendrix, since New York City radio, Hendrix to me was, it's stupid, but it was Purple Haze and Foxy Lady and Fire. And I'd heard them like all my life, so I didn't get it. Does that make sense? Right. You know what I mean? Like, so you just grew up hearing them, like, whatever. And of course, that's ridiculous because they're amazing. And then for me, it was Band of Gypsies. Like, I bought the Nice Price cassette in the supermarket. I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
What age did you have that? Like, are you 15?
No, like that must have been No, I had a car. I remember driving out to L'Amour's in Brooklyn cranking it. L'Amour's, the rock capital of Brooklyn. So I must have been like 19 or 20.
I went to L'Amour's once, and it was to see the Atomic Tommy M version of UFO.
Oh, man. So L'Amour's, L'Amour's was, there were two clubs in one in Brooklyn, and L'Amour's East and L'Amour's West. L'Amour's, the rock capital of Brooklyn. We used to go out there and get your car broken into on a regular basis. There's a cool documentary on the New York metal scene at that time. It's on Netflix. No, it's on Amazon. I want to check it out. Talking to my band that I was in for a very short period of time was opening up. We opened up for Anthrax and Megadeth and King Diamond and Overkill a bunch of times and stuff.
That's when you were in Hades, right?
Hades, just for like a very short period of time, and then I got kicked out, and then everything else happened.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But then I played there also with the band that was my previous band before that was called Restless, and then it's funny. The old singer just put out all the material, so you get to hear me playing when I'm like 18 years old or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, So I was like, oh, that's not as painful as it was. But so that was fun. And I got to see a lot of bands there at the time. But the metal scene was really cranking at that point. There was like a New York hardcore scene, thrash metal stuff. Then I was a part of that to a certain degree. And that was pretty short-lived, though. I mean, it was like burned brightly. And then it just, that was when like Public Enemy and Anthrax were doing stuff together.
Right.
And then years later, I ended up playing with Public Enemy, which was crazy.
It's crazy, man.
Someone says, okay, Liquid Hips define the NGSW. Liquid Hips was my old band that I was in, and Angus used to be in the band before me. Yeah. And he passed along the gig to me before he got this other band, and then his career went this way. And so we used to do the National Guitar Summer Workshop together, so we met. So some of you guys around there, we used to play Liquid Hips tunes all the time, which was fun. So you can check that out, Liquid Hips. That's my old band.
My two favorite Liquid Hip tunes. One was Revenge. I'm gonna serve it up, serve it up cold.
Yeah,
and then Push. You want what you want when you want it. Yeah. See?
There's a song called Surveillance, which the singer of the band who I'm still great friends with, is always conspiratorial, politics. And like the lyrics are like, I remember texting him like, who knew you would be 100% spot on in your lyrics? In 1998 or whatever the hell it was, 1990.
So I'm going to summarize other things I had on my list from the burn-in. So I had to represent Ronnie James Dio 3 times. One was Rainbow on Stage, Mob Rules, and Holy Diver.
Yep. Okay, yeah. So Angus has got his band. So let's talk about that for a minute. Start getting some gigs coming up with that, right?
I'm working on a Dio tribute project right now, and this is one of the 3 guitars that I had done up. This is done to be kind of an ode to Vivian Campbell's black Les Paul that he used on the Holy Diver record, and I've also got a Gibson done up in the style of the Old Boy. Oh, and did anybody else see the Gibson news? The new launch with Tony Iommi and the pickup, and there's like a 24 fret Junior with a. Did everybody see this?
I haven't seen it. I'm just like, I saw they did the sneak peek of something coming soon.
I'm so in. I'm so in. So those records, Mob Rule. I saw the Mob Rules tour. I saw the Holy Diver tour. I just lived and breathed those records for years. And with all that and the MSG record from Michael Schenker, I'm going to call that like the records that truly, made me. I've got the Wall in the guitar playing realm. I've got the Wall. I got Ozzy era Sabbath, Dio era Sabbath, Rainbow, Holy Diver, Blizzard of Oz, and you got to put Schenker in there. Come on.
Sure.
And for me, it was MSG.
RJ's in the house. So you want to talk a little about RJ?
Oh, RJ was was there at the good old National Guitar Workshop when we were teaching there. He was probably in my Clapton class. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I super appreciate RJ's streams. He's built a great community, and he's an amazing player. Super tasteful.
We take credit for that, even though he doesn't remember me. From then, I had a lot of hair then. A lot of hair.
I love teaching that Clapton class because that's, I said there's a lot of these records that I feel like really made me as a guitar player, but I didn't really learn the solos. I had to learn the solos to teach that class. And I really appreciate it. And that led me to this concept that's great in the teaching realm, which is that if you want to deconstruct a certain player, learn 3 of their solos.
Yeah,
it's like learn them front to back, and then you will be able to pull their moves out of it because you'll see
there's things. Yeah. No, it's I agree with you 100%. Like, right. So like I'm a Clapton fanatic and did I learn every solo? No, I learned a few really key ones, like Crossroads, certainly. And then for me, I learned Spoonful. I learned a lot of the live one I jammed along to after learning the studio one. And then some of the stuff off the Beano record, but those Bernard Jenkins particularly, that would be the one that I recommend, and then so after that you're like, okay, you kind of get the idea enough that you feel like you've got the idea enough that you don't want to try to become a clone. You've got, I got a Clapton-y sort of thing.
Get the tab, do what you need to do, learn 3 of them.
I agree. It's good.
Front to back. And so that's what I had to do for that Clapton class and brought it in there. And RJ I was fortunate enough to have.
I just remembered Jeff's hair. Yeah, it was glorious, and then it went until it wasn't. Anyway, whatever.
But so and so that's like the burn in, and then Schenker for me was MSG, but you were a fan of the first Michael Schenker group record.
Yeah, I got into him like right away. Yeah, the one with like Victim of the Change, Victim of the Future. No, sorry, Victim of the Future. With Arms and Ready and all that. I think his best record is probably the MSG, like with Don't Talk to Strangers and all that musically. Although I am a huge fan of Assault Attack. But the record I might come back to, and I got into this a little later. I was into Schenker, but then my friend who was a DJ at like a college radio station, and I was in a band with them, like too young to be doing that. It was weird. I don't even know how. So, and then he put on Dr. Doctor. I was like, what is this? And he's like, oh, well, you don't know this? And then he put on Rock Bottom, and I was like, what the hell is this?
The live versions?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, Strangers in the Night by Michael Schenker and UFO with Michael Schenker on it. To me, that's like, it's all great. I still love Michael Schenker. We're going to go see him in September soon. And so I've talked about, we both have an equal love of Michael Schenker, although he owns Flying V's and I sold mine because... he actually plays them on real stages, and they're not the most friendly guitar at home.
Gotta have a place to play it, you know. That's like I got an Explorer 2 years ago, and so if it weren't for the TSO gig, like where am I gonna? And actually, I brought.
What am I like?
You needed that guitar.
Yeah, but it got a great. And plus, I thought about Clapton. Now I'm thinking,
and actually, I use the V's locally. I'm using it with Konstantin Maroulis probably coming up. I just used it with him.
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago. But yeah, in terms of like the ones that really changed our lives, right? I'm going to say the first Michael Schenker record that I got is the one that blew it wide open for me. The first Sabbath record I got, I can't remember if it was Paranoid or Volume 4. I don't know. Right. I grew up next to a really small mom and pop record store, and it always had the cutout bin. Everything was like 5-finger discounted off of a return or something like that. Right. It was a promo copy that had been re-scanned.
I'm reading comments, that's fine.
And so a lot of times I bought records like when Back in Black came out, I went down to the store and all they had was Heaven and Hell. I was Highway to Hell.
Right.
But that's
okay.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, exactly. Totally. Right, which I can listen to that record much more.
When all my friends were like listening to Zeppelin Volume 4, and I had heard Stairway to Heaven a million times, like the only Zeppelin record they had was Zeppelin 1. And then I put it on, and I was like, this is not the same singer.
That's funny.
Is this with a different singer?
What was cool in my late teens, a friend of mine worked at a really good record store. So we'd go there and they get all the bootlegs. So I got the imports. Remember, imports were a big deal. So I got like Point of Entry by Judas Priest before it came out in the States. It's got a different cover. Of course, all those are somewhere. I don't know what I did with my records. So some of the comments here. So Mike Forrest, that he was the NGSW, talking about there's a live recording on YouTube of you guys playing with Andy Timmons at the NGW. And I was there front row, amazing playing. I don't know what we sound like on that. Wow. RJ, I was there too. I had a bootleg cassette of that show and then lost it 10 years ago. And then RJ, okay, Andy came to replace a drunk Zach Wilde who was asked to leave. That's not exactly true. That's not true at all.
Yeah, that's
not true.
That's not how that.
That's
went
not
down.
how that.
But
I can explain how Andy Timmons came to the National Guitar Workshop. Was I knew Andy kind of peripherally from doing jams in New York City, and I was like, "Who the hell's this guy?" You know, 'cause pretty good. And then they needed someone fairly last minute because I think it was like Larry Mitchell couldn't make it, like somebody couldn't make it, and I said, let's call this guy Andy, and then Andy started doing it, and obviously that was that since then. And no, Zach did get to the workshop once, and that was quite an experience, a legend in the guitar world, and it was a ton of fun.
it was crazy because this is in a small town in Connecticut, and every week there'd be, I don't know, what was it, like 200, 300 kids?
Yeah, and it was like 6 weeks long.
And there was an auditorium on the campus. And the week that Zach came up, he was still in Ozzy's band at his original heyday.
Yeah, just the beginning.
Like
it
was like really happening. And everybody from the town came. Mm-hmm. Like it was packed out. I was like, there's no way these are all students.
Yeah.
But
they would open up to the town just to be kind of cool. Like, oh, you want to come see a concert? And then there's people out the door.
Just out the door.
Yeah.
And Zach put on it was a crazy time for him. And, he blew us away with his playing.
Oh, he was killer. And
amazing.
He was such a cool dude.
Yeah.
And we had a mutual friend. You didn't know JD at the time.
No.
I went to college with JD, who's the bass player of Black Label Society, who later ended up touring in my band, Liquid Hips, for a while. And he was in a band called Drill that you were in. It's this whole tri-state area. You all know each other, kind of thing. Yeah. So, that was, I'm not going to go into the details, but Zach was young and he was drinking a lot and it was a ton of fun, and it turned out to be quite an evening.
It was a memorable experience.
You were on his shoulders playing guitar. You were doing
that could have happened.
No, it definitely happened. And you had Terry Sarik's Flying V, and you were doing some Ozzy tune. He had you on his shoulders, and had a few, and you're like, it was pretty crazy, right? You're on his shoulders. That's right. Yeah. And I know he lifted you up by your leg.
Sure.
The Randy Rhoads thing.
He probably
Mr.
lifted
Crowley
every one of us up by there.
And he was doing his Ozzy impersonation.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. A ton of fun. The thing about the National Guitar Workshop, which was totally awesome, was like we met so many friends. You think about people who I'm still friends with to this day, as you are, the connections then. Like he and I met, and we've still been great friends ever since. And David Hamburger got me into the National Guitar Workshop. The blues guitar player. Boy, that's where I first met Mike Stern, and hooked up with him and Rob. And that's when I first met Robin. That's not how we became friends, but everybody at that point in time, everybody was there, and it was like guitar was super hot. It was a great time. That thing that I think Dave Smaller. Here's a mind blower. I ended up with marrying Dave Smoliver's niece years later, but we're divorced since then. Wow.
There was who blew us away because all the Shrapnel guys came through.
Oh yeah,
so Michael Lee Firkins was amazing.
Yeah,
remember him.
Vinnie Moore was there.
Vinnie Moore was awesome. And that's when I first met Marty Friedman, who went on to recommend me for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Right. So there was a lot of good that came out of being there.
Yeah.
But one of those good things is the amazing Zach Wilde clinic and concert.
That was probably the most. That's the legend. Legendary.
The most
one.
fun ever had in New Milford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
and the townies.
But we all remember Andy Timmons coming in there, and he, so in New York, we would all have known that Andy was in Danger. Right. And, which I think Al Petrelli was in Danger before Andy.
I don't know.
I think so. So, but he was already moved on from that by the time he did these clinics, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. And he had started, doing his kind of professional side work. He played on Kip Winger's solo record, and there was a lot of stuff. So it was really, and he was just so, I don't know, relatable. And he really made it, it was great.
He was just like us, just better. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? He was just so good, and you're like, yeah, we're doing the same kind of thing. Like, kind of. Yeah, he just does it better.
One thing I wanted...
He's a little older.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to... Shout out to Andy Timmons. Yeah. One thing I wanted to get into was there was the records we had in the house.
Okay, yep.
Then there were the records that we chose, or they were thrust upon us in the 12 to 17 era. Mm-hmm. That's your burn in, your first wave. And then there was the stuff that took us, that, extended the journey.
Yeah.
And that's like when I got to college, there was a big emphasis at USC, was big emphasis on smooth jazz, mm-hmm. which is a perfect place for me. But the North Star was Wes Montgomery. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have a specific album here, but getting to hear, because there was a lot of Wes Montgomery where the solos were relatively simple, mm-hmm. and tuneful. There's a tunefulness to it and a relatableness for somebody from a more like static harmonic background, which is right. Like where I come from, not that into jazz. So I really appreciated Wes. And then that's when everyone was kind of like, you got to dig into where all this rock playing came from. And I got I'll Play the Blues for You by Albert King.
Oh, yeah.
And that record was kind of, I just found the tunes to be super catchy, and some of the lyrics were hilarious, and his playing had just had all that, all the
bends, the inflection and all that great stuff,
just all that stuff that you recognize off of Gilmore's playing and Stevie Ray Vaughan's playing, but like there it was.
Well, then you got in after being all into Vaughan, and you heard Albert King, you were like, wait a minute, hold on, not knocking Stevie, but you know what I mean. There was the influence was big, obviously.
And then when I moved back to New York, I enrolled at NYU because I heard that John Schofield was like a teacher there, but like he had stopped teaching by the time I got enrolled there. And I picked up Pick Hits Live, which has Dennis Chambers,
Gary Granger
on drums. It's
Gary Granger on bass, right?
I think so. Yeah. And his I did
the universal sign for bass. Yeah. The thumbs. Oh no, JD was always like I play bass. It was always this.
Was the drummer there?
Yeah, right.
So sorry, we're doing our own jokes.
Yes.
It's a type 5. We'll have it ready for next week. Mm-hmm. The thing there was what's the tune, like the
nag. Was it the nag? No,
Protocol.
Protocol. Yeah, Protocol.
Right.
Yeah.
He had this, and the head was kind of out of a blues box.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's some blues connection in Schofield's playing that I could connect with. And so that kind of opened a door for me to like, oh, okay, yeah, I can maybe get into a Scott Henderson record now or something after that. Yeah. But, before that, I was kind of like, paralyzed by fusion.
Well, then, like, for me, it was, I listened to all the Demiola stuff growing up,
Al D,
and then all the Bruford records in UK. So I was into Haldsworth, and then like Gradually Going Tornado with Jeff Berlin and all those kind of stuff. So that was, I started to get Mike Forrest, 20. Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. Buying you guys a round of beers. Thanks for your positive influence on us in high school kids as teachers at the NSW. Thanks. Hey, Thank you. It means a lot to us. I mean, it blows me away when people are like, I studied with you at the National Guitar Workshop like 30 years ago. And little did you know, like, I was like 21. You know what I mean? Or like, so we seem all that much older, but we were not. I remember when I got that gig, I was the youngest teacher. I think I was 21. Same thing. We were like the youngest.
We're the exact same age.
Yeah.
So
we were like the youngest guys. They brought us in because what happened was metal started moving up then, and they needed metal guys. And so, we looked the part and we got the call. A lot of people recommended us, Sean Tubbs, man, what's going on? Sean Tubbs in the house. What's going on, dude?
My favorite year at one of my favorite memories from National Guitar Workshop was that they instituted this thing where you got to teach an elective. So it was like, this is when we all started, everybody started getting self-promotional, like, oh, I could make a video course, I could write a book, I could do this, I could do that, And so then we started competing with each other about if you can get all these kids to come to your elective, then you can sell them on, some post workshop relationship, book of this, that, the other. So it got to be a thing. Like, what can I do? People with, I'm going to do modal this or modal that, or I'm going to do, jazz harmony or something. And I was like, I just filled out the form one year. What's your elective called? Secrets.
And in the room where they had the secrets, he put up paper over the window. So unless you were in the class, you never learned the secrets. So that was awesome.
And it was packed.
It was packed.
It was totally.
And then you made sure that you swore everybody not to tell what you were learning in the secrets class. So we all became super competitive in a great, fun way. Oh man, the secrets class. Trying to think what else about that. The NGW. Well, also what was the best part about that, that people say to us, oh, you guys were influential. And that, to me, I'm always so humbled by that. And that's when I first really discovered my love of teaching guitar. And I figured out fairly early on that I had a knack for it because I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh man, I got a lot of satisfaction out of seeing somebody in front of you hit the light bulb went on. So for me, I still get a kick out of that, when you can explain something to someone.
It was like a laboratory experience of finding out what works and what doesn't work and how to connect with a student and and get the feedback and the fact that these guys are chiming in here is really awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, one of the funny things about the NGW that they would do the faculty concert, and it would be 18 hours long because everybody would want to play Nardis or something, and so they would do it not to knock the jazz guys. They would have the jazz guys first, and they would always put us on last because people would hang out
to keep some people in the room
because it was such a metal thing at the time. It was so popular. So it was me and Angus and Terry Sarek. If you guys don't know, Terry was freaking amazing. And who else would have been it was us three, really. I mean,
Terry was there. Yeah. James Hogan.
Yeah.
Slaying. I mean,
I'm trying to think of that original run. So we would just do these big, long epics, and then we would do Mr. Crowley, and you would sing it, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. Anyway, okay, so we appreciate you guys who were there at the time. Okay, so I'm going to do the things for me. So it was Alan Holdsworth IOU was the one that was really I don't know what's going on here, but I know this is freaking ridiculous. And I listened to that record so much. I had it on vinyl, and that record changed a ton for me. And I got a lot more fusion-y than Angus did. And then,
I've been to Scott Henderson shows. I've been to see Schofield.
Yeah, I know. So I remember. So for me. All right, so Angus went to USC. I went to Berkeley, and that was not soft jazz, smooth jazz. It was so that's when I first heard Upside Downside by Mike Stern, and that was life-changing. And I lived in Manhattan at the time. We lived together in Brooklyn first, and I lived in Chelsea.
I like those Mike Stern records.
Not as much as I did. No, so it's mine. It's all mine. So I would, I used to play at the 55 bar every other Friday for years and years until the singer I was in the band with, the new owner took over and she insulted her on the microphone. The singer of my band, who was a live wire, brought in people a ton of insults to the new owner. I have a steady gig at the 55 bar for like, how many years? 7 years? Like years.
Yeah, it went on. I mean,
and then,
Bonnie and I came down there and we were getting to know each other.
Yeah. I met my wife there because she knew the singer. So anyway, long and short. So
they used to let one of the regulars tend bar sometimes, and the bar would be covered in like half an inch of booze.
Okay. And the bathrooms was so much drug going.
It was there was a seedy side to it.
There was a very seedy side.
But it was you guys. It was a great sounding room. I mean, that's part of the reason Mike played there as much as he did, and why it was so great to see.
Yeah, and then Wayne Krantz every Thursday.
Yeah, Wayne. I mean, that was so. I remember going to see Wayne Krantz, and he and I was done touring with Guitaro, and Wayne had, I think, just gotten done with Steely Dan, and we had the same front house sound mixer, and we both had the same opinion of him.
That guy.
So it was just nice to like kind of have some common ground. And Wayne did me a real solid when I was at NYU. I think he came to my senior recital.
I don't remember that. I was there. I do remember. No, he did come there.
So I super appreciate, and I loved those Wayne Krantz records. He covered a Tull tune on it. Didn't Saucity, yeah. And so and then I was studying with Bruce Arnold through NYU, who was a Bonacos guy, and that's where I got my exposure to the whole Bonacos, which, if you're not familiar with that, I'm sure there's a million versions of it now, but it's the whole decoding the Charlie Parker bebop stuff using approach note patterns to chord tones.
Some people call them like enclosures now as the new name for what he basically teaches in a methodical way. So Stern studied with him and Wayne Krantz, and man, tons of people did up in Boston. I also studied with somebody after Mike who would kind of help decode it a bit more. So the fusion thing became really, really big for me. So the other record besides that would Tribal Tech's first record. So that would be the one with Dance Dance on it. Signal. I'm thinking of tune. Tribal Tech. I think it's the first one. Yeah, with Dance Dance and Signal Path on it. That record.
Yeah, I knew about Scott, and I had seen Scott Henderson in L.A. because of my friend Aaron Tapp, who plays guitar for Matt Nathanson, which is, that's so funny because like Matt Nathanson is a pop gig, and Aaron is like, king of the, like, he's got delays and modulation pedals and just
LA
kind of playing,
these
great overdub parts and everything. But at the time we were at SC, he was like full into it. So I had been to see Scott and then getting to know you. I remember Scott, didn't he play like upstate or just over the New Jersey line?
Yeah, it plays in Piermont, New York. Forgetting the name.
Yeah, we went to see him.
And I won a guitar that night. Remember that? Yeah. I won an Ibanez. Yeah.
So that's like that college phase, man. Where we had to dig into that, and the fusion hasn't stuck with me so much. But
I got way into it, and then but your career took you this other way with Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Like a lot, you started doing all the rock gigs, so, TSO, Cher, Broadway Rock of Ages.
And that's where all the fundamentals and the more book learning part of what I do stood me in good stead, because in the TSO gig half the time you could get the part by reading the cello part from the classical score,
right?
For like the Mozart stuff and everything. It's like you read the cello part, you're like, you can get the part down.
Did you say read?
Yeah.
You can read.
And then on the Cher thing, there was like this cabaret. There's this one tune that's like. It's like all jazz, like a French thing, and modulates every 12 bars to another key. And it's like, if I didn't have some voicings at my disposal.
Yeah, sure. Well, everybody in that gig is a good musician. So
you can't underestimate what they're going to throw at you on a pop gig.
Sure. Just going to take a real quick break. Angus has got a course out, and that's where we're kind of a little bit talking about. You want to talk a little bit about it? We got 25% off using the link. I thought I put it in the description. I might not hit save, but it is in the chat, so I will add it as soon. But Phoebe's got it over there on the side.
Yeah, I just put together a course. I've done some video courses previously, as Jeff did. Jeff actually got me into doing it a number of years ago, but now I've just produced one myself, and I put it up on a new site, AngusClarkGTR.com, and it's called 30 Surefire Rock Licks. They're surefire, honed to the bone. Straight from the arena to your tablet or phone. And
damn it, I need to get that one.
And I'm really proud of it. It's really about, the licks are definitely useful. There are over 5 backing tracks that are in very identifiable styles, well-used chord progressions. So they're definitely useful, usable. They're surefire. And really what the course is about is how they're played, the articulations, bending, all the fundamentals that go into making a player sound professional. And you just get to spend that time with me and soak it in.
It's invaluable.
And I'll talk you through it. I'm really proud of it. There's tablature, guitar profiles, the Axe FX preset that I used in making it is all available for download in there. And it's discounted. There's a discount code coming at you. If it's not in the description, we'll make sure that it is shortly. 30 Surefire Rock Licks, AngusClarkGTR.com. And I thank you, Jeff, for having me on board here to talk about it.
Cool, that's awesome. So we got. Let me just see what
we got. Some more albums.
I think we got some more
groundbreaking albums. Or we have some insider info from the National Guitar Workshop.
People love hearing. I love hearing these stories. So it's just kind of fun. Like I said, Sean Tubbs is in the house. So
that's Sean. Sean, you're an amazing player.
Absolutely. Okay, Guitar Grandpa. I listened to about over 2,000 vinyl records. It would take me a while to listen to my whole continue. Okay, Talking Heads, Dire Straits, then Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden.
Dire Straits is chapter 2 for me. That's
that first record. I can listen to that record all the time.
Wow.
I still put that on.
Love Over Gold.
Oh, really?
And the live record with Romeo and Juliet.
They've just released a bunch of. Go on Apple Music or wherever you'll get your music, and they released a bunch of old recordings from live shows from the early Straits, and it's throughout the career. But there's a lot of early stuff that's my favorite. So the first 2 records, a little more, raw. And but anyway, yeah, okay.
It's
that's Chris Quinn, Guitaro, Far East Family Band. That's amazing that you played with him. He was on the PBS special. You played with him for quite a while. I got a video coming out with Angus's kind of career, which is a ton of fun stories. But you played with him for quite some time.
Yeah, Far East Family Band was Guitaro's band that he started. I can't remember. It's the story goes that I think he was very like Deep Purple influenced or something like that. But then he discovered Tangerine Dream. He actually met the guys in Tangerine Dream. And then he actually knew the guy who founded Korg. Oh. And so Guitaro's main synthesizer, they just released a new version of it. I should probably get one. Because it's like only like
give you one.
It's only like this big. Yeah. So he had like the 2 of the very first like Korg synthesizers, which are kind of modeled on ARP synthesizers. And after the Far East Family Band, he's launched his solo career, and then he scored the soundtrack for a TV show over there called Silk Road. And so that theme from Silk Road was his first international hit, blew him up. And that's as New Age in the late 80s, early 90s was a real thing. That it led to Yanni at the Acropolis and John Tesh and all that. And so I got the Guitaro gig, and then we made the Enchanted Evening album, which is just re-released, actually. They just re-released a version of it, which is funny because they put all these extra tracks. And part of the gig was that he just wanted the guitar solos to go on for like ever. And so the album that came out didn't have like all the jams on it, but now they put all the jams out, and I'm not that happy with all of my playing. But I love the experience, and I love Kokoro is this 13-minute epic that was on the original record, and I'm actually doing I'm going to do a whole lesson about it for my channel. But yeah, it was Grammy nominated record. I was 27. I'm super proud of that. But now they put out all the jams where like the solo goes on for like 8 minutes.
And you were like just playing, like, can I hear that back? No, that's great.
I'm like, I'm already here. It was live, so I mean, it just it's like I'm already here by like the third chorus, and there's another like 5 choruses.
Yeah, that's man, that is yeah.
And it's not like you could take it outside.
Yeah. Okay, so Corey just signed up for your course. Thanks, man. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. Yeah, helping it. It's great. Guitar Grandpa, I have to go with Angus on Dire Straits. Nearly wore out love over gold. Fortunately, I have a very good turntable. Far East Family Album is kind of like the Japanese Pink Floyd, but cool enough to be different. Check it out.
All right. Well, I mean, that's how I got the gig. He told his manager, "I want somebody who plays like David Gilmour," and then I got on the phone. He told a woman that worked for their management, "I want someone who plays like David Gilmour." She saw me play. They, got in touch with me, and then I got on the phone with his manager, and the first thing he answered, he said, "Do you have a Fender Stratocaster?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, because we want it like David Gilmour." I was like, "You're going to pay me to do that? I've been doing that since I was 13.
Yeah. That's
Sign me up.
That's pretty funny. And then everything went. So, yeah, and then, like you said, Marty Friedman, who saw you play with Kitaro, recommended you for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So that's not a bad recommendation. It's okay.
But before he saw me play with Kitaro, he and I met at the National
Guitar Summer Workshop. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I met David Grissom at the National Guitar Workshop. Anyway, same thing.
Friendships last a lifetime.
They do. So let's, we're running a little late, but any questions you guys have for us or anything like that? We can go on forever with the records, I do want to bring up, of course, Robben Ford. I would say would probably be Talk to Your Daughter would be the big one, I think, for most of us. But my favorite is Mystic Mile from the Blue Line. The Blue Line records. Those are my favorites. Like Talk to Your Daughter. I know Robin's not listening. Some it's very slick. It still sounds great, but the Mystic Mile, like the Blue Line was his band. Like that band was, he would admit, we've talked about this many times, and that was like he said, yeah, we had a thing, and it comes across in those records. And there's that Live at Yoshi's record that he just released. They told me, he's like, yeah, I just found out. If you got this funny backstory that. Robin's like, yeah, they found these tapes from Yoshi's from the 90s. I'm like, you didn't know they had? Like, no, I didn't even know they existed. We're going to put them out. They sound great. And I'm like, so this has been sitting there. This just popped up. He's like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, all right. So go check that out for that band and that time. And I'd seen them a bunch of times at that point in time. And that was big.
I think that the Talk to Your Daughter record is just important as a crossover piece.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
You just don't, you won't have, it supports all of the other amazing stuff that he's been able to do. And it is a landmark achievement as an album by itself. But in terms of what it is in the business of being Robben Ford, it is, it is linchpin.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean, people still, when we're touring, we're like, yell at Talk to Your Daughter. He's like, no.
Right.
Not.
But it's it's what gives him the flexibility to do the things he wants to do.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that he did that, and that's nothing wrong with that.
Chris, you said favorite Schenker. Come on, fellas, you missed the intro, so just we already talked about Schenker.
For me, it's the MSG album.
For me, it's the MSG album. Probably, yeah. I mean, that's the one. Although I do love Assault Attack, like I said.
We didn't really, I mean, and on the UFO side, we didn't really dig on the, you talked about Strangers in the Night, which is, of course, amazing.
Yeah.
But I had Obsession. And so that was the one that really was like my gateway to all of it.
Yeah.
looking back, I think we both agreed that like Force It had maybe the better, slightly more amped up collection of tunes and stuff like that. And they sound, I think Obsession and Force It have a comparable sonic quality. I think they're both Ron Nevison records.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But you gotta love. I don't know if it's the same on Force It, but the stories about Obsession are that, like is a pig nose.
Yeah, you can hear it.
And then it's the small box. It's a 1987.
But you can hear that, like you suddenly like
and the way it just opens up and the amount of reverb and delay on the leads. It's just he sounds epic on that record in a way that like you just.
Now, other things just real fast. Like Angus and I are both big classical music fans. You grew up in a very classical household. I grew up hearing opera a lot growing up, so I am a fairly knowledgeable in classical music, a really big fan, and I'm actually always sort of surprised when people don't know, at least the big stuff. You know what I mean? Or like defining even an era, like is that Baroque or Renaissance or classical or Romantic? Like I'm not saying I'm a classical file, but big part in my life too. Still. So now this is an oddball question. I'm going to put you in a spot because I don't even know if I have an answer. Anything new you've been listening to? Relatively new. It's hard to say. That's a tough one. You ask somebody, what's something new you're listening to? A lot of people have a hard time answering it.
I like a lot of the new bands that are throwback kind of bands. Like I like Rival Sons.
Yeah.
They're just crushing it. Actually, my band, Angus Clark Band, who are playing at the Bitter End in late September.
Oh, I'm at Bitter End on September 3rd, by the way, and Angus will be joining me on a song.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Part of what got me the tones I used on the Angus Clark Band album, which is available through Deco Entertainment or on your streaming service, I used a fuzz-based signal chain for that I would not have, and an alternative guitar. I used a Jazzmaster.
Yeah,
as opposed to
it's a cool record.
And I just really dug it. And a lot of my pedals are less boutique than Jeff's. I actually just used one of the recent mini Dunlop Hendrix Fuzz Face pedals. It's like selectable, buffered, unbuffered, selectable germanium or silicone, but it's a fuzz face circuit.
Mine was handmade by each component was hand selected.
I'm humbled in the.
I'm shamed.
I'm humbled. We're leaning into a Monty Python bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Rival Sons. I'm trying to think who else I just heard. I kind of like that band, The Warning. I don't know. That's a band from Mexico.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm listening to some Jason Isbell lately. I like him a lot.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of kind of been more drawn to the singer-songwriter guys of late,
Right. Yeah.
Because I find, some of the rock guys I like, but the ones I find myself really liking are the ones that sort of throwback to what I'm kind of used to, which is maybe just age. Anyway, all right, guys, it's running late. I want to thank Angus for coming by and hanging out. We got some videos coming up soon with Angus. Please check out his course. You can get it at angusclarkgtr.com. And also using the link below, he's got 25% off. Of course, you guys can always check out Jam Guitar Lessons. We'll have some stuff on sale using the links down below as well. Beat has put in Pearl Jam, Dark Matter. So, all right. Pearl Jam versus Dark Matter?
That's a recent Pearl Jam record.
Is it? Okay, great. Yeah. I don't know. I'm out of it. Recent fusion-y things. I really liked Robin's last record. I thought that was quite good. And I really liked Mike Landau's last record, if you want to talk about guitar nerdy stuff. But a lot of my listing has been a little more classical lately. Yeah. So, all right. So Angus Clark AngusClarkGTR.com. Check out the link for his new course, AngusClark.com. I'm playing the Bitter End in New York City if you're around on September 3rd at 8 p.m. Angus will be joining me on a song. I got some new material. And you're playing with the Angus Clark Band. Not sure when, but go to his website and you can find out.
Later in September.
Okay, later in September. And hey, BB, thanks so much. I appreciate you doing everything that you do, as always. And all right, everyone, I will see you all later, and have a great weekend. I will not be here next week because I got the gig and a live stream and a gig. My brain can't handle it. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.